My ex wanted to stay friends. I said yes, then hired his new girlfriend as my assistant. Mark sent me the text 3 weeks after we'd broken up, right when I was in the middle of interviewing candidates for my new assistant position. Hey Jess, I know this is awkward, but I really value what we had. Can we try to stay friends? I stared at the message while sitting across from candidate number 4, a perfectly qualified woman who was nervously explaining her proficiency in Excel. Mark and I had dated for 2 years before I'd caught him texting someone named Becca, with heart emojis and inside jokes I'd never been part of. When I'd confronted him, he'd admitted they'd been talking for a month, but swore nothing physical had happened. I'd ended it immediately, and he'd moved out of our shared apartment within a week. Now he wanted to be friends. I typed back, sure, why not? Candidate number 4 was still talking about pivot tables when an idea started forming in my mind. An absolutely terrible, petty, probably unethical idea that made me smile for the first time in weeks. That evening, I did something I'm not proud of. I stalked Mark's social media like a detective investigating a crime. His relationship status hadn't changed yet, but his recent photos told the whole story. There was Becca, a bubbly blonde with perfect teeth who worked at a marketing agency downtown. She posted workout selfies, motivational quotes, and pictures of expensive brunches with captions like living my best life. Her LinkedIn showed she'd been at the same entry-level marketing coordinator position for 3 years. I clicked through her profile carefully, learning everything I could. She'd graduated from State University with a communications degree, had interned at 2 small firms, and based on her posts, seemed to be constantly looking for the next big opportunity. Perfect. I sent Mark a friendly text. Hey, glad we can be mature about this. How's everything going? He responded within minutes, clearly relieved I wasn't being hostile. Really good, actually. Work is crazy busy. How about you? We chatted for a bit, and I carefully steered the conversation toward his new relationship. So, are you seeing anyone? It's totally fine if you are. We've both moved on. There was a pause before his response. Yeah, actually. Her name's Becca. It's still new, but it's going well. I hope that's not weird. Not at all. I'm happy for you. I paused, then added, what does she do? She's in marketing. Really talented, but kind of stuck in her current role. She's been looking for something with more growth potential. I practically heard opportunity knocking. Oh, interesting. I'm actually hiring for an assistant position at my company. It's a pretty significant step up from entry level, great pay, amazing benefits. Would she be interested? I could almost hear Mark's surprise through the phone. Wait, seriously? You'd consider hiring Becca? Why not? If she's qualified and we're all adults about this, it could be a great opportunity for her. Have her send me her resume. I knew exactly what I was doing. Mark had always been proud of being the successful one in our relationship. He worked in finance, made decent money, and loved mentioning his salary at parties. Meanwhile, I'd spent the last 5 years building my own marketing consultancy from nothing. What Mark didn't know, because he'd never paid attention, was that my little company now had 15 employees and had just landed a major contract with a national retail chain. The assistant position I was hiring for paid $75,000 plus bonuses and full benefits. More than Mark made, actually. Becca's resume arrived the next morning with an eager cover letter about exciting new challenges. I reviewed it professionally. She was actually qualified. Good writing skills, relevant experience, decent references. She just needed someone to take a chance on her. I scheduled an interview for the following Tuesday. When Becca walked into my office, I watched her recognize me from Mark's photos. Her smile faltered for just a second before her professional mask snapped into place. Jessica? Hi, I'm Becca Morrison. She extended her hand and I shook it firmly. Please, call me Jess. Have a seat. I conducted the interview exactly as I would with any candidate. I asked about her experience, her career goals, how she handled pressure and difficult clients. To her credit, Becca was poised and professional. She never mentioned Mark, and neither did I. So, I said finally, leaning back in my chair, I assume you know that Mark and I used to date. Becca's cheeks colored slightly. Yes, he mentioned that. I want to assure you that if that's going to be an issue, I completely understand. I know this is an unusual situation. It is unusual, I agreed. But I'm a professional, and I'm looking for the best person for this job. Can you handle working for your boyfriend's ex? She met my eyes directly. I can if you can. I appreciated the honesty. The job is demanding. Long hours sometimes, difficult clients, high expectations, but it pays well, and there's real growth potential. You'd be working directly with me on major accounts, getting exposure to high-level strategy work. Are you interested? Very much so. Great. I'll be making my decision by the end of the week. Thanks for coming in. After Becca left, my business partner Diane came into my office with raised eyebrows. Please tell me you're not actually considering hiring your ex's new girlfriend. I'm considering hiring a qualified candidate who happens to be dating my ex, I corrected. Jess, this is messy. What are you really doing here? I leaned back in my chair. Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. Part of me wants to be the bigger person and give someone a real opportunity. Part of me wants to make Mark uncomfortable as hell, Diane finished. Maybe a little, I admitted. I offered Becca the job on Friday. Her excitement was genuine and infectious over the phone. Oh my God, thank you so much. You won't regret this, I promise. When can I start? 2 weeks. That should give you time to give notice at your current job. There was a pause. Jess, I really appreciate this. I know this situation is weird, but I'm going to work really hard to make this successful. I'm counting on it. That evening, Mark called me. Jess, I don't know what to say. Thank you. Becca is over the moon about this opportunity. She earned it. She interviewed well and she's qualified. Just so we're clear, Mark, this is a professional relationship. I'm her boss, not her friend, and I expect her to perform at a high level. Of course, absolutely. This is just really mature of you. I'm impressed. The slight condescension in his voice reminded me why we'd broken up. Mark had always treated my business like a hobby, something cute I did while he had the real career. He had no idea what he was talking about. Becca started on a Monday morning, and I made sure to treat her exactly like I'd treat any new hire. My office manager gave her the full orientation, set her up with her own workspace, and walked her through our systems and processes. By Tuesday, Becca was diving into her first real assignment, helping me prepare a presentation for our biggest client. I watched her work, and I had to admit, she was good. Detail-oriented, creative, and she caught a mistake in my slide deck that would have been embarrassing. "Nice catch," I told her, genuinely impressed. She looked up, surprised. "Oh, thanks. I wasn't sure if I should say something." Always say something if you spot an error. I'd rather fix it now than look incompetent in front of a client. Over the next few weeks, something unexpected happened. Becca was actually really good at her job. She was organized, proactive, and had great instincts for client management. She also worked hard, often staying late without being asked, taking initiative on projects, and consistently exceeding my expectations. And she was nice. Annoyingly nice. She remembered everyone's coffee orders, always volunteered for the tedious tasks, and had a way of diffusing tension with humor when things got stressful. I found myself actually enjoying working with her. The petty revenge I'd half planned started feeling less satisfying and more just unnecessary. One evening, about 6 weeks into her employment, we were working late on a pitch for a new client. Around 8 p.m., Becca's phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her expression tightened. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Yeah, fine. Just Mark wondering when I'll be home." She silenced her phone and went back to the presentation. "You can take that if you need to. It's fine. We're almost done here anyway." But 15 minutes later, her phone buzzed again. And again 5 minutes after that. I could see her tension increasing with each notification. "Becca, seriously, take a break. Call him back." She sighed. He gets anxious when I work late. He doesn't really understand why it takes so long sometimes." Something in her tone sounded familiar, uncomfortably familiar. "Does he do that a lot? The checking in?" Becca hesitated, clearly debating how much to share with her boss, who was also her boyfriend's ex. "Sometimes, he just worries. That I'm working you too hard?" Among other things. I sat back in my chair. This was dangerous territory, but I pressed forward anyway. "Becca, I'm going to say something that's maybe crossing a line. But Mark used to do that to me too. The constant check-ins disguised as worry. The subtle suggestions that I was prioritizing work over him." She didn't say anything, but her expression told me I'd hit a nerve. "Look, I'm not trying to interfere in your relationship, but as your boss, I need you to know that the hours we keep are normal for this industry. You're not doing anything wrong by being dedicated to your career. I know that. He says I'm changing since I started here, that I'm different. Are you different?" She thought about it. "Maybe. I feel more confident, more capable. Like I'm actually building something instead of just marking time until something better comes along. That's called growth, Becca. That's a good thing." She looked at me directly. "Did he make you feel guilty about your success too?" And there it was. The thing I'd been seeing but not wanting to acknowledge. "Yeah," I said quietly. "He did. For 2 years, I listened to him talk about how I was too focused on my little business and not enough on us. He made me feel like my ambition was a character flaw." Becca nodded slowly. "Last week, he asked me why I needed to make so much money anyway. Said I should look for something with better work-life balance. Translation: something that pays less and requires less of your time and energy." That's what I thought too. We finished the presentation in silence, both processing this unexpected moment of connection. As we were packing up, Becca paused. "Jess, can I ask you something? Did you hire me to mess with Mark? Because if you did, I kind of get it. But I need to know." I considered lying, but she deserved honesty. Initially, maybe there was some of that. I thought it would be satisfying to have you see firsthand how successful my little business actually is, to make him uncomfortable. And now I'm glad I hired you because you're legitimately excellent at your job. The Mark stuff has become irrelevant." She smiled. "Good, because I really love working here. This is the first time I've felt like I'm actually good at something important." Over the next few months, I watched Becca bloom professionally. She took on bigger responsibilities, started managing some client relationships independently, and even pitched some innovative ideas that we implemented. She also started setting boundaries with Mark. I knew this because occasionally I'd overhear her phone conversations when we worked late. "I'll be home when I'm done. This is my job. No, I don't think Jess is trying to turn me against you." "Mark, that's ridiculous." One evening, about 4 months after she'd started, Diane pulled me aside. "Okay, so I wasn't sure about this whole situation at first, but I have to admit, hiring Becca was genius. She's good, right? She's great. And watching Mark slowly lose his mind over his girlfriend working for his ex and being really good at it, that's just bonus entertainment." I laughed. "He's not handling it well?" According to office gossip, which I totally don't participate in but somehow hear everything about, he's been increasingly pissy about how much time she spends here and how much she talks about work. She talks about work because she's engaged with what she's doing. That's what passionate professionals do. I know that. You know that. Mark apparently thinks it's a personal attack. 2 weeks later, Becca came into my office and closed the door. Her expression was serious. "I need to talk to you about something, and it's awkward, but I think I should be upfront." "Okay." Mark asked me to quit. I sat back in my chair. "When?" "Last night. He said working here is putting too much stress on our relationship, that it's weird that I work for his ex, and that I'm choosing you over him by staying here." "What did you tell him?" I told him no. This job is the best thing that's happened to my career, and I'm not giving it up because he's insecure. She paused. "I'm telling you because I know this might create drama, and I want you to be prepared. Also because I think we might break up over this. Becca, I don't want to be the reason your relationship ends. You're not. He is. This is just making it clear." She left my office, and I sat there processing. This had gotten so far from what I'd originally intended. A week later, Becca came in Monday morning with red eyes and a determined expression. "He moved out this weekend." "I'm sorry. I'm not. Or I won't be eventually." She straightened her shoulders. "Can we talk about the Henderson account? I have some ideas about the Q4 strategy." And just like that, we went back to work. Professional, focused, building something real. Mark texted me a few days later. Are you happy now? You destroyed my relationship. I stared at the message for a long time before responding. I didn't destroy anything, Mark. I gave someone an opportunity, and she took it. What happened between you two is not my responsibility. You hired her to get back at me. Admit it. Initially, maybe there was some petty satisfaction in it, but Becca's still here because she's talented and hardworking. If you couldn't handle her success, that's on you. He didn't respond, and I didn't expect him to. Over the next few months, Becca continued to excel. I promoted her to account manager with a significant raise. She found a new apartment, closer to the office. She started dating someone from the gym who actually seemed excited about her career. One evening, about 10 months after I'd first hired her, we were celebrating closing a huge deal with the team at a nearby bar. Becca pulled me aside. I need to tell you something. When I first came in for that interview, I was kind of a mess. I knew Mark had feelings for you that he'd never really processed. I knew he'd talked about you like you were this obstacle to his happiness. And I think part of me wanted to meet you and see what all the fuss was about. And I realized pretty quickly that you weren't an obstacle. You were just someone who outgrew him and had the courage to leave, something I should have done months earlier. She paused. Thank you for taking a chance on me, even if your motivations were questionable at first. This year has changed my life. You changed your own life, Becca. You did the work. Maybe, but you gave me the platform to do it on. Diane joined us then, slightly tipsy and grinning. Can I just say, this whole thing turned out way better than I expected? When you first told me you were hiring Mark's new girlfriend, I thought you'd lost your mind. But it's actually kind of beautiful. Petty revenge turned into genuine professional success and female solidarity. It's like a business school case study in unexpected outcomes. We all laughed, and I realized she was right. What had started as a somewhat vindictive impulse had turned into something real and valuable. I'd gained an excellent employee and, surprisingly, something like a friend. About a year after Becca had started, Mark reached out one more time. I ran into Diane at a conference. She said Becca's doing really well. Account manager now? Yes. She earned it. There was a long pause before his next message. I think I owe you an apology. Actually, several apologies. For how I treated your business when we were together, for not seeing what you were building, and for blaming you when Becca and I broke up. I appreciate that, Mark. For what it's worth, I'm seeing someone new. A teacher. She works reasonable hours and doesn't make me feel inadequate. I almost said something snarky but held back. I hope you're happy, Mark. Genuinely. Yeah, you too. And that was the last time we talked. Becca eventually moved up to senior account manager, and we hired 2 new assistants to support her. She's dating the gym guy seriously now, and he comes to company events and actually asks intelligent questions about what she does. One evening, about 18 months after this whole thing started, Becca and I were having a drink after work. She'd just closed the biggest deal of her career, and we were celebrating. Can I ask you something? She said. What would you have done if I'd been terrible at the job? I thought about it. Honestly, I would have fired you. Petty revenge only goes so far. I'm not going to tank my business for it. That's what I thought. It's why I worked so damn hard those first few months. I knew I had to prove I deserved to be there. You did deserve to be there. You still do. She raised her glass. To questionable decisions that somehow work out. I clinked my glass against hers. And to being more than someone's ex-girlfriend. I'll drink to that. Looking back, I can't say whether hiring Becca was ultimately an act of maturity or pettiness. Maybe it was both. Maybe the line between those things is blurrier than we like to admit. What I do know is that what started as a slightly vindictive impulse ended up teaching me something important. Success really is the best revenge. Not because it makes your ex jealous, but because it proves you never needed their validation in the first place. And sometimes the people you think are your competition turn out to be your allies. Sometimes the woman dating your ex becomes someone you respect and root for. Sometimes what starts as pettiness transforms into genuine professional success and mutual support. My company is thriving. Becca is thriving. And Mark? Mark is probably fine, dating someone who makes him feel comfortable instead of challenged. We all got what we needed in the end, just not in the way any of us expected. Sometimes surviving the impossible is the most important thing we ever do. Drop a comment if this one hit different. Until next time, take care.